Long forgotten or ignored, females have plenty of surprises in store for us. We imagine them obedient, submissive, and always devoted. As we'll discover, they can be dominant, independent, manipulative, and often unfaithful. You've heard it again and again. In the wild, males are the leaders. Males are the strongest. In a word, males rule. But let's leave preconceived notions behind. Despite their magnificent attributes, males don't always live up to their reputations. These lazy bones who snore away 20 hours a day wouldn't be much without the help of their mates. So, let's focus on those to whom they owe a whole lot. Females. On Savannah Lane, we don't just live on love and fresh air. Here, life depends on food, and food is survival. Whether we are carnivore, herbivore, or omnivore, the challenge never ends. Take periods of famine, for example. They aren't necessarily the same for meat eaters as for vegetarians. So there are times when each of us can become a bit desperate. Is there one female among us best equipped to confront the ruthlessness of life on the savannah? Is it Lauren and her powerful clan of lionesses? Or perhaps Victoria, the solitary cheetah? Thanks to her tremendous capacity for adaptation, does Josie the female baboon fare better than the others? And if Esther the elephant seems infallible, her life isn't one big party either. So, is it best to find yourself in with the vegetarians, condemned to a nomadic life? Or with the homebody meat-eaters, bound to a specific territory? In reality, the most well-adapted might not necessarily be the one you think. Who is truly the queen of the savannah? On this small parcel of land in eastern Africa, nothing can be taken for granted. Following a period of feast, things are looking grim for the big carnivores. Especially for lionesses, as they are much too homebound to track their victuals for their larder. In a few hours, the wildebeest have deserted the plain. But if there's one resident of Savannah Lane who couldn't care less, it's Victoria the cheetah. She prefers gazelles anyway. Victoria lives in the modern world, where a male is not needed on a daily basis. She's a liberated female, a lovely singleton. But don't let appearances fool you. Her graceful ways and makeup fit for a star mask flaws. I'm going to tell you a secret. Victoria has something she's trying very hard to hide. And it won't remain a secret for long. Among our many neighbors, there's Josie, a young female baboon who has a very, very big support system. Completely the opposite of Victoria. because Josie has a hard time getting by without males. They assure her a certain measure of protection, and so she has to put up with her gang of excitable friends. In reality, Josie is a nervous Nellie who lives in a world of rivalries and power. Baboons form an independent society, organized as fluctuating harems, and Josie doesn't yet rank with the elite. In the end, on Savannah Lane, everyone crosses paths, but don't spend much time together. Esther and her troop don't like commotion, so like most of us, they'll do almost anything to avoid the males. Elephants live in a female-only clan, and they do very well, thank you. But to survive, they must follow a very strict diet, gorging themselves 16 hours a day. Finding 200 kilos of leaves a day necessitates traveling a lot of kilometers and putting in some legwork. Despite her airs of a solidly built heavyweight, Esther suffers, as do others of her species, from an orthopedic weakness, as well as a dermatological fragility. Lionesses have fangs, but in Lauren's clan, they prefer to economize their energy rather than roaming the savannah for hours on end. For the moment, there are very few carcasses to share, and when there are so many mouths to feed, a dearth of food is never without consequences for the pride. So Lauren will hunt anything she finds, but rarely alone. If the lioness's tactic is efficient, the outcome is never set in stone. Hunting in a group never guarantees success. Here, union doesn't always give strength. Unlike her neighbor Lauren, just look at poor Victoria. She's a solitary huntress. Her strategy is based on the element of surprise, allied with speed. She's a sprinter, the fastest on Earth. In 3 seconds, she can go from 0 to 100 kilometers an hour. Cheetahs tire quickly and make only 4 catches out of 10. But it's still one more catch than lionesses, whose success rate is only 3 out of 10. That's 1 more point for Victoria. Yes, on Savannah Lane, we females often have real reason to feel desperate. No matter what time it is, day or night. Some of us would like to get some shut-eye. while others come alive at night. Esther and her little one were only able to rest a few hours, and it's already time to hit the road. Forced to feed by night, the hippo must wait until the last second to return to her aquatic refuge, or else she risks her skin. Lauren hunts till dawn without success. Zebras and wildebeest have disappeared, so sometimes a cuddle is all there is to console an empty stomach. Poor Victoria, so perfect and yet so worried. She has no one to count on and has barely slept a wink. In the end, none of us has really enjoyed the cool night air. Whether feathered or furred, it's not easy being a female. Except maybe for Josie, whose day is starting off well. On Savannah Lane, there's always one who doesn't do anything like the others. She's hanging out in the water and will sleep when others rise. This massive rock, apparently inoffensive, is Kathy. Beneath her matronly appearance lies an irascible temperament, and believe me, she has good reason to be. Kathy is a land mammal, condemned to live in the water. She comes out at night to graze, so when she goes home early in the morning, she'd like a little peace and quiet. In reality, Kathy lives a rather, how can I put this, schizophrenic life. She's very territorial, can't stand company, but finds herself constantly pressed up against others. With the rains, the wildebeest have deserted the lioness's hunting grounds. The zebras have followed suit, and big carnivores will face a shortage of food. For the baboons, it never ends. They carry on despite downpours and almost anything. Well, there are limits. For the elephants, water and rain are a pleasure. Same for Kathy and her kind, who, thanks to this deluge, may finally have a river their size. When one is a feline and doesn't like the water, it would be normal to react. Except maybe when one is as lazy as a male. Obviously, some of us are smarter than the boys. Here, it's unwise to think that anything lasts forever. It's all well and good to dream about the next deluge, but there are consequences too. Isn't that right, Kathy? The rising waters have awakened old quarrels in the neighborhood, wiping out several months of cordial relations and stirring unrest among the hippos. On Savannah Lane, the crocodiles are on the move. Their exceptional hearing has picked up the hammering of several hundred hooves carried by the river. Yet again, the wildebeest have forgotten to choose the path of least resistance. But for these latecomers, the grass is always greener on the other side, so they don't think they jump in feet first. Life is sometimes cruel. If the battle already seems lost, you must hold on whatever the cost. Keep confident of staying clear of jaws that would crush you. Remember, the hippopotamus doesn't like noise, agitation, and most of all, crocodiles. Kathy won't take this brouhaha for long. It makes her crazy and unpredictable. Trust me, this tug-of-war can last for hours. So while we wait for the outcome, let's take a look at some other battles that deserve our attention. When it comes to survival, everyone gets by as best they can. The Great Plains are emptied, and still Lauren has reasons not to leave. Oh yes, lionesses are very attached to their domains, which are transmitted from mother to daughter over several generations. And yet this time they should perhaps resolve to leave it all behind and break the pact that links them to their clan. Lauren is hungry. All that's left to do is continue to prowl and trust her infallible sense of smell. If a bit further upstream, our wildebeest continues to put up a good fight against the crocodile, the river continues to bear cadavers who have succumbed to jaws and currents. Perhaps you thought that Lauren reigned over Savannah Lane and had no enemies. Well, today, she is confronted with crocodiles and water. Unfortunately, Lauren is no wildebeest fishing expert. Here, as elsewhere, all good things come to those who wait. I told you females are full of surprises. Oh yes, on Savannah Lane, sometimes lionesses prefer to devour carrion, even if it's soaking wet, rather than chase after a prey. Even heaving a 250-kilo carcass twice her weight up onto the bank doesn't discourage Lauren. Hold on to hope. Never give up, even if sometimes life is held by just a thread. The battle has already lasted for more than an hour. Determination on one side and resistance on the other. What if Kathy's irritability finally served a purpose? Who could ever imagine a herbivore taking on one of the most merciless of carnivores? Sometimes in nature, destinies cross paths, and then their roads part ways. On Savannah Lane, we all have our secrets, our mysteries, and no one knows to what extent Victoria the cheetah desperately needs to recuperate. Victoria suffers a double burden. First, she is much too delicate to content herself with eating carrion. And second, she can't hunt by night, because unlike lionesses, she relies on her vision and not her sense of smell to hunt. Despite this, Victoria has a better chance than Lauren the lioness of finding prey. The cheetah is content to feed on small herbivores that she doesn't share with the other huntresses. Stuffed with 10 kilos of gazelle meat, Victoria abandons the carcass to the vultures. Lauren, for her part, has led the way to the miraculous catch by inviting her clan to a feast fit for queens. Normally, lionesses are satisfied with 8 kilos of meat per day, but when their stomachs are really empty, they can devour 25 kilos in one meal. When there are this many mouths to feed, best take advantage of the bounty to gather energy, because here, nothing lasts forever. When one delights in carrion meat, choice morsels are kept for oneself: intestines, innards, and stomach. These internal organs are apparently rich in vitamin B, and I'm told they're excellent for their fur and general health. I don't have to share my food, and I have no problem gathering little buds that none of my neighbors can reach. Being a herbivore is actually simpler. Poor Victoria, always so wary. Though it's been ages since I discovered the secret that she's trying so hard to hide. Here's her secret. Victoria has 4 babies. And she has good reason to hide them. She gave birth to 7, and she's already lost 3. A young cheetah's life expectancy is short. They fall victim to lions and hyenas, and their mother can't count on any help to watch over them when she leaves to hunt for food. Oh yes, you can't have it both ways. You're either skinny or you've got reserves. So here, whatever we do, none of our young is certain to make it to adulthood. Still weak and vulnerable, our young escapee is not yet completely out of the woods. This wildebeest might still catch up with the clan by blending into the scenery to hide from predators. Whether one is young or old, prey or predator, survival on Savannah Lane is a real challenge. You've seen that predators don't always have the last word. There are among us some who have more advantages than others. Clearly, it's better to eat than to be eaten. Others have few enemies to worry about. This is the case for heavyweights like Esther and Kathy. Other than a few scrapes with the hyenas, Lauren and her sisters fear practically no other animal. As for Josie, she must be wary of one of her dangerous neighbors, the leopard. But in her housing complex, there are lookouts on every floor. Living in a group seems to have many advantages. But sometimes, trouble can come from inside one's very own clan. As is their custom, the females hunted and brought back the family meal. But in Lauren's family, sharing is not as simple as one might think. In times of famine, when there's just one warthog to share, the rituals and conventions which gave the huntress priority are abolished. And for the time being, chaos reigns, might is right, and anarchy is the new order. The males don't shy from overturning the established conventions of the females. And to think that these tyrants only participate in 1 out of every 10 hunts. For these females, only one strategy is possible. Pinch a few organ bits as they wait for the 2 frenzied feeders to tire. As opposed to svelte cheetahs, chiseled for speed, but without any large energy reserves, lionesses have stamina. They can fast for up to 5 days, and that's useful in these times. Lauren would prefer life in a smaller family, as would Josie, the female baboon, who would like to be on her own from time to time. Life in her clan of primates is not what one would call restful. Living in a group with males demands a lot of patience and energy. Josie lives in a kind of canopied ghetto where an enormous promiscuity reigns, so she's stressed. In her community of baboons, males are macho, and hierarchies are in perpetual movement. The female's daily life is full of rivalries, quarrels, and often violence. Here, to appease tensions, sex is common and takes place in any circumstance. Josie's life is punctuated by fights with neighbors. So sometimes, to calm the reigning agitation, one must sacrifice part of oneself. It's true, whether one is omnivore, carnivore, or herbivore, we all have our ups and downs. Kathy finds peace and tranquility only when she goes out at night to feed in the savannah, when at last she can escape her group's pressure and the danger of the sun's intense heat. Don't be fooled by appearances. Kathy's a tough cookie. Though she weighs almost 1.5 tons, she'll gobble only 40 kilos of grass that she'll have all day to leisurely digest. Remember that the amphibious hippopotamus is a land mammal, but in returning home at daybreak to join her troop, Kathy travels with a soupçon of reluctance. Like the baboons, she too suffers from communal living and the lack of privacy. Liberty, solitude, a dream no hippo will ever attain. But then on Savannah Lane, no one is satisfied with their lot. Independence has a price. Sometimes one must find the resolve to live hidden and under permanent stress like Victoria. Killers have picked up her scent, and perhaps that of her young. The lionesses could make a quick snack of her entire litter. This time, the babies escape the lioness. But for how much longer? Here, those who live as a family, like elephants, are deemed privileged. Esther moves with a troop of females who have taken care to chase off the big males. But the elephants also have their weaknesses. They must march constantly to feed and to find water. Everyone's exhausted. The lionesses have clocked many miles and haven't been able to rest. They are far from their quota of 15 hours sleep per day. Kathy has a bit of time to recuperate, while Victoria and Josie sleep standing up. In the last 24 hours, Esther and the other elephants have only gotten in a 20-minute nap. Clearly, beauty sleep is not a given for everyone. If since the beginning of time, lionesses and cheetahs have shared the same territory, many things differentiate them. Victoria, for example, must constantly juggle motherhood and the hunt, with no outside help. What a joy. 3 months of nursing, and there's more to come even after weaning. No quarter and little rest. It's grueling to be a single mother. For Victoria, it never ends. She doesn't even have time to finish her grooming. Being a mother is not easy, and it isn't over yet. Life is full of paradoxes, and even elephants can't escape this reality. Every day, Esther and her female companions take a forced march, even though their feet burn. Going down to the river to lie down is not just to hydrate their dry, cracked skin. It's also to find a bit of head-to-toe relief. And it's absolutely necessary for Esther and her kind. But Kathy doesn't always see it that way. She tolerates nothing and no one, and won't stand these new interlopers for long. A conflict is brewing between the two mastodons. Hippo versus elephant. Who will give up first? Place your bets. Have you figured out who's going to have to go and take their bath somewhere else? Certainly not Kathy. Storms blow constantly through Savannah Lane, and it's always the same story. There are those who flee, and those who wait it out. Don't forget that our survival depends on the elements. But there are some who know how to savor the rains. her thick, leathery hide, Esther is fragile. She only has a few hairs to protect her skin and keep it from drying out or cracking. So for her, water is fundamental. Yes, you're never too old or too young to have fun. I just can't say it often enough. Don't believe the hype. Males aren't the only ones who fight among themselves. Sometimes in a group of females, fights break out between rivals. Sometimes even a family member can be smothered to death, especially during times of famine when limited food must be shared. One can be very attached to one's territory, in sync with one's clan. But when tensions run too high, the only solution is to leave. Saying goodbye to the clan to take a chance on making it elsewhere is what Lauren and one of her sisters have decided to do. For stay-at-home lionesses, this gamble is audacious. Living alone and hidden has its advantages. Victoria is under no pressure from a group, and her nomadic spirit has freed her to follow her prey. The cheetah is perfectly adapted to the life of a vagabond. She even has the perfect tool to attract her young in the tall grass. A long tail that's white at the end. Might I call it a pennant? Her little ones are still alive, but for how much longer? The quintessential anxious mother, Victoria has had her share of failures and will undoubtedly have more. In the battle for survival, we all have our strengths and weaknesses, but we're all very courageous, and we're all a bit desperate. Let's take a look from higher up and take a vote for the Queen of Savannah Lane. Is it the powerful lioness Lauren, subjected to pressure from her clan? Or perhaps Victoria, independent yet so vulnerable? Maybe you choose Esther, the enormous land mammal, but don't forget that she's doomed to a life of wandering. And as for Kathy, she will always be prisoner of her pond. But what if a closer look revealed another possible queen of Savannah Lane? I tower over the world. I bow to no one, as I have neither clan nor male to take care of. Enemies are practically non-existent. I eat where I like, what I like, when I like. Oh, and by the way, my name is Mariella. And despite what you might believe, I'm not mute.